All right, guys, so for this next section, please make sure you take 5 bullet pointed notes so that you'll be prepared for class tomorrow when we discuss this topic. All right? All right, guys, so the last section of section 2 takes a look at, again, this issue of whether we allow these new territories to become slave states or free states. So in 1854, Senator Stephen A. Douglas from Illinois proposes this plan to settle this Nebraska territory out west. Now there's an issue. Do we allow it to be slave or do we allow it to be free? How do we deal with figuring out what it's going to be? So he suggests that we take Nebraska and we kind of split it in two. We create Kansas and we create Nebraska. Okay, so that gives an opportunity for both free and slave states to go ahead and settle in their own areas. So as soon as people hear that they're going to split this territory in two, they make their way out west. And when they make their way out west, they begin to choose one side or another. Now remember, there are laws dictating on exactly how many people you need in order to create a state constitution, the legislature, and actually apply for statehood. So people rush out there in droves and they're just settling as quickly as possible. And then there's some controversy over the settlement of it, because the way they allow it to happen is they allow the people to choose. It's called popular sovereignty. They allow the people to vote, and whatever the majority says. So if the majority says we want slavery, well then guess what? It's a slave state. If the majority says we don't want slavery, it's a free state. So they allow the people to choose. Now when you allow the people to choose, there becomes this issue over exactly is it ethical on how they did it. And there comes an issue that it's not exactly done in the right way. It's done in the eyes of some people, which we'll look at tomorrow, illegally, and causes a lot of issues. Okay, we're going to be tomorrow looking at this gentleman who, because of what happens out there, because of the violence that ensues, okay, over the Kansas-Nebraska Act, gets coined Bleeding Kansas, because there's just so much violence going on in this territory over how it was chosen either free or slave based on popular sovereignty. Over how it was done, because not only do the people get to choose, but this new law goes ahead and makes the Missouri Compromise null and void. Okay, remember the Missouri Compromise 3630, and so it gets rid of that. That causes an issue. Also, how the people choose whether it's free or slave causes an issue, and so this gentleman, John Brown, okay, which you can coin him either infamous or famous depending on your perspective, which we'll talk about tomorrow. And we'll look at his involvement in this violence, this bleeding Kansas, okay, the civil war going on in Kansas at this time. Was he right? Does the abolitionist movement agree with how he went about making his point? And we're going to be looking at that tomorrow. So hopefully you gain some information from this. Because tomorrow, your background knowledge on this topic is going to help you immensely when we talk about John Brown and his involvement in this violence going on out west. So please make sure that you are prepared for class tomorrow, that you've watched this, rewind it as many times as you need. If you have any questions, please email me. Just make sure that you gain some information from this, because tomorrow will be extremely important. All right, guys, thanks.